Propagandists and push polls. That's the focus of tonight's angle. The pages of their playbook are dog-eared. Now, first, they distort reality by lying and smearing people with the sole purpose of poisoning public opinion.
Kristi Noem has plainly tried to signal to ICE that they are free to act with impunity, to purposefully manufacture and escalate confrontations, and even execute whomever they please.
These are vicious lies, 100% made up. But for Benny, the easiest thing to do is villainize those who put their lives on the line every day. So never mind the fact that the agent who shot Renee Good last week suffered internal bleeding and his torso, when Ms. Good, the poor innocent mother, decided to give him a love tap with her vehicle. His life to them is irrelevant. We actually think all loss of life is tragic, but not them. And of course, pathetic Schumer went in big time for the defamation.
We have talked to police officers across the country and the police department in Minneapolis itself. And they know that these ICE agents are so totally untrained in police doctrine. They don't know what to do, how to do it, and it ends up even killing people and causing such mayhem.
Total lie. And one problem, Chuck, according to reports, this officer had a decade of experience at ICE and was very well liked. A good Christian man with an immigrant wife. Even after he was dragged by another car in an immigration raid last June, he returned to work. But a former entertainment reporter at CNN, oh, come on, she doesn't care about the truth. She writes her own drama, and her script is blindingly tedious.
Let's just call it what it is. This is violent. This is chaos. This is escalation. These are not the best practices of law enforcement. The ICE agents are clearly emboldened. We've seen them going out since the shooting, telling people, did you see what we did the other day? It's sending a message that these tactics are acceptable. It is normalizing the violence.
Okay, what she's doing literally is normalizing the violence of the jackals who are surrounding ICE agents. They're throwing frozen water bottles, shooting off fireworks to sound like, bullets going off, and of course, as we know, ramming vehicles.
Watch out behind you! Watch out! Holy! Watch out in front of you! Watch out in front! Get out of the car! Get out of the car!
And when they weren't trying to hurt the agents, they were being disgusting pigs.
Somebody threw a bottle of piss, and it went all inside the vehicle, too, and all over me, so. That's the peaceful protest you're seeing.
That's not a protest. That's assault. That's the type of person ICE is dealing with out there. I saw it firsthand. Because they're taking criminal illegals off the streets, now the ICE agents are persona non grata? But the smear squads were out in full force all day long, and the propaganda was nonstop.
This is no longer about immigration. This is about a secret police force that Donald Trump and the Republicans have unleashed on American streets and cities, and anybody can be caught in their net.
Okay, distorted commentary like that, it circulates. Then what happens? A poll is conducted by a friendly pollster. CNN and Friends touts CNN's poll.
A brand new CNN poll shows that 56% of Americans think that ICE agents' use of force that killed Renee Nicole Good 1 week ago in Minneapolis, 56% say it was inappropriate.
Now, always remember, the best propagandists pick and choose data points, and they disregard others. And they do that to whip up public sentiment in their preferred direction. And naturally, CNN takes it a step further by curating video snippets without any context to drive home their point.
We have a new CNN poll to show you. 56% of Americans say that use of force in the shooting was inappropriate. And 51% say that ICE is making American cities less safe. Why do so many feel that way? Well, here's just one example of what Americans are watching on their phones.
Okay, well, they pull a woman, and you'll see it. I hope we play the entire sound bite there. But we see a woman, and it looks very incendiary. A clip of her being pulled out of the car includes her at one point shouting that she was disabled, autistic, going to a doctor's appointment. But just like in so many other so-called police brutality cases, the missing video holds the key. In other words, what precipitated the ICE response? Of course, without that factual predicate, it all looks rough. It looks shocking even. But what happened in the moments leading up to the officers removing her from her vehicle are key. Even the UK's Daily Mail included the DHS account, which is that the woman was trying to wedge the agents between hers and another vehicle blocking the street. But that's not in the clip, of course, widely shared on social media. They ended up having to carry the woman out on all fours. It was pathetic. But the other side's propaganda does work, at least in the short term. Joe Rogan sees importing illegals smartly as part of the Democrats' long-term plan to dominate U.S. elections. So the podcaster extraordinaire should know better than to repeat Tim Walz's talking points.
You don't want militarized people in the streets just roaming around, snatching people up, many of which turn out to actually be U.S. citizens that just don't have their papers on them. Are we really going to be the Gestapo? Where's your papers? Is that what we've come to?
That's just absurd. I'm sorry, and everyone knows I love Joe Rogan. The reason Obama and Biden's ICE operations were quieter, not chaotic generally, is because there was no resistance to them.
The left needs to hear that they have created this situation by disobeying the immigration laws, by ignoring the deportation orders, by not reporting people who are committing crimes.
If they let us in their damn jail and stop being a sanctuary city, we could arrest the bad guy in the safety and security of a jail. But because they knowingly release them, now we got to go in the community and find them. Then they're mad we're in the community.
Sanctuary city policies created this. It creates and fuels the conflagration on the ground. And look, the open borders propagandists can squawk all they want. They can deceptively curate all the video they can find. They can commission more polls. But I will bet a lot of money right now that no serious Democrat running in 2028 will run on defunding ICE or relaxing border enforcement. And why is that? Because the only poll on this that really mattered was the one that took place in November of 2024, when 77 million Americans voted for stronger borders and lots of deportations. And that's the
Shri has a magic wand, and he's about to make ICE go poof.
We must reform ICE, but it looks at this stage, folks, ICE is beyond reform. ICE is totally out of control, and this week I intend to introduce a bill to abolish ICE. We need to make ICE go away.
Make ICE go away, but let the illegals stay. Shri must be working for El Chapo, or he's high as a kite. Democrats are making ICE out to be more deadly than Tren de Aragua.
They are free to act with impunity, to purposefully manufacture and escalate confrontations, and even execute whomever they please.
American police are executioners, but MS-13, just Maryland dads. They think Trump's given agents a license to kill, and they're all pretending they're next in line to eat a bullet.
Yeah, I'm worried that they'll kill me because I'm out there and I'm witnessing and I'm documenting.
Yeah. Democrats were saying Trump was going to lock them all up, but he hasn't put a single one in prison. And now they're all thinking they're going to get shot. Meanwhile, Trump's the only one who's been shot and arrested. Rosie, who we hear the Irish can't stand, says driving your cars at ICE agents doesn't go far enough.
If you ever wondered what you would have done in Nazi Germany in the 30s, well, take a look at what you're doing now. You know, we're not overreacting. We're underreacting as a nation. And I think that's what they're counting on.
Brave Irish Rosie fled the country and then called Americans chicken hawks for not going harder. Didn't her shrink put her in a DJT detox? She wasn't supposed to even be watching the news. Democrats are telling the base, if you don't fight the Nazis, you are one. They did the same thing during Floyd. If you weren't an anti-racist activist, you were a racist. We're not even 6 months out from Charlie Kirk, and Homan says the mob's trying to kill his family.
I'm telling you here today, it's not over. Now the rhetoric is even tripled. Now they're saying they're murderers. They went beyond Nazis and secret police. Now they're saying ICE is murdering people. Death threats against me alone have tripled. I mean, I had one yesterday, was a little different. They don't want to kill me. They want to kill my family. You know, tear my soul out so I suffer the rest of my life.
The agent who shot Renee Good in self-defense was forced to go into hiding because of death threats. And reports now say he's suffering from internal bleeding after getting rammed by the car. There was a time when even the media thought ICE was cool. During Obama, they were doing ride-alongs.
Under the cloak of darkness in Chicago,
Tack one, guys.
an immigration and customs enforcement team gears up for another long day, pursuing undocumented immigrants who have been convicted of crimes in the U.S.
You have evidence, right, that he's using a fake identity or?
That is correct. We believe he's been using a U.S. citizen's identity to live and work. He has an Illinois driver's license. Third target, he has an unauthorized use of a weapon, which was a firearm. He has a couple DUIs. He is a criminal. He has an extensive criminal history. And by taking him out of the community, it's making the community safer.
So Obama's boys were picking up illegals wanted for identity theft, DUIs, and gun charges. Now Trump's men are nabbing killers, carjackers, and child molesters. And Bernie's like, leave my landscaper alone.
They don't believe that ICE agents should be picking people up off the street.
Grandmothers and gardeners.
Yeah. This Trump general movement on authoritarianism, his disregard for the Constitution, general disregard for the rule of law. We cannot allow that to happen in America.
Have you seen any video of ICE tackling a guy on a lawnmower? Have you seen any video of Homan arresting Jose, just watering azaleas? I haven't even seen a grandma get busted, and I have access to all the videos. Omar says ICE hasn't arrested a single criminal.
They haven't been able to produce any evidence that they are finding people who are undocumented, who have committed crimes.
Does Omar have TV or the internet? I know Verizon was down today, but come on. We're swimming in mugshots. Here's a dude from Sudan convicted of homicide and assault. Or what about this bad hombre from El Salvador, convicted of 3 counts of homicide? According to my math, that's 3 dead people. Here's one from Omar's neck of the woods, a Somali national convicted of homicide. I can do whole shows of just mugshots, but then we wouldn't have time for texts. Why do Democrats want to keep these kinds of people in the country?
Mayor Fry seems to, again, Matt, we've said this many times, choose illegal aliens and criminal illegal aliens over the American citizens in his city. Let me say that again. He chooses criminal aliens, aliens that would harm children, kill, rape, and maim American citizens. He chooses them over his own citizens.
Minneapolis has been siding against its own citizens. Frey and Waltz let their taxpayers get fleeced out of billions by Somalians. And then they never even said, sorry, I screwed up. It took a sink or swim champ, Nick Shirley, to blow the roof off. The scandal was so big, Tim Walz retired. He yanked his reelection bid because he knew there was another shoe to drop. The Leering Center may just be the tip of the iceberg. Nick Shirley just dropped another bombshell. Turns out, Somalis don't just love the daycare business. They have their hands in hundreds of car companies, bringing fake kids to fake daycare centers. It's a total black hole.
My research has shown that there are about 1,020 such companies in Minnesota, and more than 90% of them are Somali-owned. A lot of these companies, their address is an apartment, some are in a house, some are in a convenience store, some of them in a vacant building. There's no signage, there's nobody there.
Shirley and his deputies say these transportation companies are ripe for the picking.
So if you have 800 companies in Minnesota that are NEMT companies, they all own 20 vehicles, and they're all making 10 trips a day, and it's $50 per trip. So it's 800 times 20 times 10 trips times $50 a trip. Do the math. And the reality is, how many of these trips are being provided? Zero. They don't have to provide any, and boom, they get paid. Nobody bothers to check.
Minnesota's not even checking to make sure Somali Jr. got driven to daycare. Hunter Biden would have made more money in Minneapolis than in Ukraine. Walz was just handing out cash to whoever put a hand out and never looked to see who they were or what they did with it. Shirley's the only one in Minnesota who's knocked on doors.
This does not look like Safari Transportation. Where is the transportation company?
I don't see any signs denoting that there's any transportation.
Hello. How are you? We're looking for the transportation company.
Safari Transportation?
Looking for Safari Transportation?
No, there's no Safari Transportation here.
No Safari Transportation?
Safari Transportation, 607 Cedar Avenue.
We're just looking for Safari Transportation.
We don't know.
So, but this is registered for Safari Transportation, 607.
That's the address.
Okay, we don't know.
We're asking where Safari Transportation is.
We don't know.
Okay, so the business is not here.
Somalians start a shell company. They say they have cars to take kids to daycare, and they file the address at a convenience store. Shirley couldn't find any cars, kids, or car businesses there. But Minnesota's shoveling money at them week after week, every time they send them an invoice. So guess what happens when Shirley finds fraud? The Somalis, just like they did with the politicians, play the race card.
You hate Muslims.
I'm not saying I hate Muslims. We're talking about fraud. We're talking about fraud.
Why are you attacking us?
This
are we
is
the
fraud.
only community that suffers because of fraud?
We're talking about fraud.
Are we the only community that does fraud? Are we the only community that does this?
This is about fraud.
All right, but there's what, 300 Somali providers in all of Minnesota?
There's actually 800.
Keep talking.
So,
you speak
transportation
English,
companies.
Mr. Security doesn't even speak English. Listen, let me tell you something.
See, this isn't a race issue, sir. This is about fraud.
You want to sacrifice the safety of 80,000 people because of fucking 2,000 providers? Are you fucking mad? Are you stupid?
I'm not stupid. You're stupid. Where's the transportation company?
What about if a mass shooting happens in Minnesota? It will be because of you. It will be because of you. If any Somali gets hurt in Minnesota, it's because of Nick Shirley.
Okay. 80% of Somalis are on welfare. And they have a citywide fraud ring. And now they're the victims? No, the victims are the taxpayers. Shirley couldn't find a single legit business.
Yes, we're wondering where Silver Mountain.
Silver Mountain?
Silver Mountain.
Oh, I don't know that. Where it is.
It says 2722 Park Avenue.
Where
is Silver Mountain here?
Silver Mountain. You don't have a permission to do that.
Okay, so Silver Mountain does not exist.
You were
no, the name's not Silver Mountain. It's just Silver Mountain.
Don't ask me that. When you come.
All right,
so
sir. Well, so Silver Mountain does not exist.
You're making a business. You have millions of people watching you. You're making business to
okay, sir.
people.
You have millions of people watching right now. Where is Silver Mountain?
I don't know where Silver Mountain is.
These businesses are transportation companies, but some of the addresses don't even have parking lots. Shirley finally tracked down some of the ghost fleet, and it looks like they've been frozen in place for months.
Now we're outside of this transportation vehicle company right here.
Yeah, and so you can see these are the vans that say Dreamline. You can see the sticker on the window and the numbers on the rear. None of these vehicles have moved in 8 months. I've been taking date stamp photos. All these vehicles are in the exact same spot they were 8 months ago. And look, there's no tire tracks, so they haven't moved.
And this van as well, this is Dreamline. Dreamline was the location where we got chased out from the Somalis on 617-seater, and this is a vehicle from Dreamline that actually didn't even exist. It was a liquor store, and now it's here, and the vans haven't moved at all.
These are fake companies with fake invoices, fake cars, taking fake kids to fake daycares. As Shirley got deeper, it got a little more thorny. Once inside a flea market, Shirley found himself outnumbered. Hashtag not one lucky guy.
Do you guys know where advanced mobility is? Do you guys know where advanced mobility is?
Advanced mobility?
Yeah, we're looking for it. Never heard of it? Where's advanced mobility at?
We don't care about advanced mobility.
That's what we're asking for. All right, we're looking for advanced mobility. Nobody can help us right now. We got a whole group of people trying to get us out of here. We're looking for advanced mobility. Advanced mobility doesn't exist.
Show me one mainstream journalist who has the coconuts to bust into mini Mogadishus and stick a camera in their faces. This is one of the main reasons the feds are even in Minneapolis. They're there to catch crooks. But these crazy women are throwing their bodies and cars in their way to protect the scam. But people who pay taxes, they can't get enough of it.
What do you think about the fraud taking place here in Minnesota?
Huh? I'm a taxpayer. I don't like it.
What's your message to all the fraudsters?
Huh? Prosecute their ass. Take them to jail.
And how do you feel knowing that, for instance, right here, a transportation company that receives money from the government is not even here? It's an apartment complex.
I just said, I don't like it. I'm a taxpayer. I work hard for my money. People out here fraud, they should go to jail.
And should Tim Walz go to jail?
Oh, he cricket too, huh? All them cricket, all the politicians.
Minnesota gets robbed because they're dumb or in on it, maybe both. And every election, the politicians say, we're in debt, got to raise taxes. Good old God-fearing people aren't getting what they paid for. That's how you kill the American dream. The Somalis in Tampon, killing the American dream in Minnesota. Foreigners get a free ride, while taxpayers work their tails off and get no services back. And when we catch them, we get called racist. And then when we go arrest them, we get hounded by violent women with daddy issues. And this just in. The State House just filed articles of impeachment against Walz. They're accusing him of engaging in a cover-up. And as we know, the cover-up is worse than the crime.
All right, it's 9 p.m. on the East Coast, 6 o'clock on the West Coast. We start tonight with a Fox News alert just breaking moments ago. Apparently another ICE-involved shooting in Minneapolis. We're working on getting more details. We will get you a full report in this hour. Also tonight, breaking news from Iran, Greenland, again Minnesota, and the White House. Now, at this hour, the Jerusalem Post, the UK Guardian, they are reporting that U.S. military action against Iran may be imminent. We're monitoring that throughout this hour. Senator Ted Cruz, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and Trump's newly confirmed drug czar, friend of this program, Sarah Carter, will all join us. This will be Sarah's first interview since being confirmed on television. Also, former Democratic Senator Kristen Sinema will be here with a message for the legacy media mob. Now, this brings us to an important observation to begin this night as we begin this show. There is a massive, massive amount of misinformation in this country. I call it an information crisis in the country. The other legacy news networks, every liberal cable news channel, almost every newspaper in the country, website, they are flooding America, the zone, with an alternate reality. You know, take inflation, for example. Let's take a trip down memory lane. 2023, under Joe Biden, look at how fake news CNN reported it this way, quote, U.S. inflation is still high, but it's falling. Last month's consumer price index measured 6%, down from January 6.4%. All right, sounds very positive. Now look at how they reported the significantly lower inflation rate under Donald Trump. Less than half. Quote, U.S. inflation remained at 2.7%, underscoring persistent cost of living challenges. Oh, that's not biased, is it? The framing here is beyond corrupt It is abusively biased, and this is not an isolated incident. Look at the New York Times. They threw cold water on President Trump's 2.7% inflation rate, reporting that, quote, inflation ended on a subdued note with surging grocery prices. But after nearly 20% inflation under Joe Biden, the Times ran with the following headline, quote, cooling price growth has Democrats tasting victory over inflation. You got to be kidding. And meanwhile, the media mob's reporting on immigration is even worse, even more dishonest. Now, most Democrats, they don't even know that every president since 9/11 has conducted ICE raids all around the country, including their beloved President Obama. And now, while Obama beefed up his deportation numbers by counting those turned away at the border, he technically still deported millions of illegal aliens, no protesting from the radical left. And according to Pew Research, most of those deported, they were non-criminals. But here's how fake news CNN covered Barack Obama and his ICE raids back in 2016. Pay close attention to the difference.
Just before the sun rises in the Windy City, Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents fan out across Chicago to arrest criminals in the U.S. illegally.
Tac 1, Tac 2, Tac 3.
CNN was granted exclusive access to witness some of those raids.
They want to come out extra early, like right now, because they want to catch these people before they go to work. That's why it starts so early in the morning.
Ready to check? All right, let's roll, guys.
Now compare that to the current coverage of ICE raids under President Donald J. Trump. Take a look.
They are going in and ripping, as you said, people that have grown up here, also hardworking people.
This is about a secret police force that Donald Trump and the Republicans have unleashed on American streets and cities.
The way in which ICE is operating today is inhumane and illegal.
Democrats should not, cannot vote for more money for this unaccountable Department of Homeland Security that is terrorizing people.
The actions of ICE, they are unconstitutional, unlawful, they are cruel, they are rogue, they are racist.
Now, keep in mind, almost none of the raids would even be necessary if not for two things. One, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Alejandro Mayorkas, they opened the borders. They let 12+ million unvetted people into this country, including known terrorists, murderers, rapists, gang members, cartel members. And number two, most blue states shield these violent criminals from deportation with sanctuary status and, of course, taxpayer dollars. And now the media mob is painting a false narrative about ICE officials who are simply doing their job, enforcing federal law. The media was praising Obama for it, but of course, Donald Trump does it. Secret police, Gestapo. This is lying and deception. It's pure and simple. And it's why the country, to be very honest, I'm proud to work here in my 30th year, needs Fox News more than ever. Now, think about this. Until recently, most other media outlets barely covered the historic unrest in Iran. Every day, Iranians rising up against their Islamo-fascist government. They're now paying a very dear price. 12,000 to 20,000 protesters are believed to be murdered. The videos that I see that I can't share with you because they are too violent, and I don't want your kids to see it, by this regime as the Muellers back themselves into a corner is very real. According to multiple reports, Iranian state TV broadcasted an image of the 2024 Butler assassination attempt against Donald Trump with the words, "This time it will not miss the target." But tonight, these threats ring hollow. U.S. personnel have evacuated from our military base in nearby Qatar. And meanwhile, the Pentagon is moving a carrier strike group into the region less than 2 days after President Trump promised that help is on the way. And there are widespread rumors that at least one high-ranking Iranian official has fled the country. This as the airspace now over Iran is now closed officially. But as always with President Trump, no option is off the table, and tonight he indicated that Iran's bloodthirsty regime stopped killing protesters, at least for now. Why? because they're deathly afraid of Donald Trump. Take a look.
We've been told that the killing in Iran is stopping, and it's stopped, and it's stopping. And there's no plan for executions or executions. So I've been told that on good authority. We'll find out about it. I'm sure if it happens, we'll all be very upset, including you will be very upset, but that's just gotten to me, some information that the killing has stopped, that the executions have stopped. They're not going to have an execution, which a lot of people were talking about for the last couple of days. Today was going to be the day of execution.
Now, is this a head fake? Only time will tell. So what comes next and when? Well, I guess your guess is as good as mine.
Let's welcome tonight's guest. For an extra $10, he'll make it look like an accident. Former CIA operative and host of the President's Daily Brief podcast, Mike Baker. The only time his audience gives him a hand is to boost him up on stage. Writer and comedian Joe DeVito. She went from Soundgarden to arteries that harden. Host of Kennedy Saves the World podcast, Kennedy. And he was best man at Godzilla's wedding. Former NWA World Champion, host of Planet Tyrant podcast, Tyrus.
It was a lovely, lovely ceremony.
Mike, always good to see you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well. You know, I was just sitting here. I was listening to what you were saying, but I was thinking, I don't know what's more fetching, Tyrus's cap or my cardigan.
You should put them together, and then you could go.
You should stop.
Okay. Isn't it the Supreme Court is kind of where the delusional fantasies just run headfirst into reality as long as you have a majority of common sense thinkers?
I was going to say, as long as you have a conservative majority, frankly. Yeah. I was kind of confused over a lot of people leading up to these arguments that took place, talking about how, well, this is a no-brainer. This is going to be a unanimous decision, right, in favor of keeping boys out of girls' sports. I don't know what planet they were living on, because clearly when you listen to those arguments, and they are fascinating to be able to listen to the Supreme Court, right, talk through these things, and because it's a nice way to spend a couple of hours. And it's clear that it's going to be maybe 5-4. And when you think about that, and you think about, is it really that difficult, right? First of all, I'm so tired of cis.
Yes.
I don't even know what cis means.
Why are we accepting these stupid words?
Right.
Like
That's
cisgender
what I mean.
is so stupid.
It's like what you were saying about they're having the argument, so they've already won. They have us using these things. But anyway, look, if you can't tell the difference between a boy and a girl, and you can't state the fact that there's a boy and there's a girl, you're a moron. Right?
Strong words from a guy in a cardigan.
He did sound like an angry old grandpa.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay,
kids, hell's bells, guys.
Okay, Judd Hirsch.
me and General Waverly from White Christmas.
When are you going to drive the taxi? Where's Crazy Jim or whatever his name was?
Get off my lawn.
Joe, I was going to ask you about these phrases like cisgender. The moment we start playing that term with those words, accepting those words, we've lost.
Sure. Well, look, I can relate to some of it. There have been times where I forgot what the word sex meant, but it was just because of a long dry spell.
Yes.
I couldn't recall. It's so funny. Ketanji Brown Jackson said, she's the one who originally in her confirmation hearing said that she was unable to define what a woman was. And then we find out she talks 4 times as much as any of the male justices. I'd like to submit that into evidence as to who might be the woman in that equation.
Yeah.
But it just is so absurd. Like Mike said, like, how are we even having this discussion? Like, you don't want to have boys in girls' track and field, especially a relay race. They go to pass the baton, there's an unexpected penis in there. You don't know, they end up dragging a teammate over the finish line. It's absurd. But I think this is a bigger problem, because if you can control what words mean, you can make people believe and do crazy things. And I have friends who are trans women who who transitioned.
Really?
I
Joe
do.
Mackey does not count.
He's on the way there. You have to give it time. But they transitioned before this madness. And if you were to say to them, are you worried about getting pregnant? They would say to you, what are you talking about? That's insane. So, as you see, if you watch more of it, that you have these people testifying, and they cannot say who is a man or a woman, and ultimately it's destructive to their own cause, because then what happens to women's rights and women's studies and women's sports? It all goes out the window. So I'll be happy when this weird moment in our culture is over.
Yeah, even, Kennedy. Even trans men and trans women know they're not men and women because they put trans in front of it. They're not saying, they understand. Like, I remember Caitlyn Jenner saying that, like, I don't have a period, so I'm not a biological woman. Also, he's past menopause.
Caitlyn Jenner's also 74.
Yeah, that's true.
And, in an enviable position to be that rich, that beautiful, and not have to worry about buying tampons.
Oh, my God.
What a wonderful, wonderful
And with his
luxury.
hands, her hands, he could carry a whole box of them.
Really good.
Have you ever seen Jenner's hands?
Oh, they're massive.
They're
Not
massive.
as much as you have, apparently.
One time, look, I got scared in the green room, and Caitlyn cradled me for an hour. Rocked me to sleep. I woke up. I was so rested.
And by me, do you mean your scrotum?
You had to go there. All right, Kennedy, finish it up. We're tired of this.
It's silly. This is so incredibly absurd because the argument rests upon the term sex. That is what Title IX is based upon. And it is sex, like, it's not about illegal search and seizures. It's not about race. It is about sex. And if you can't define that, and that's what Justice Alito was getting at. Like, you don't have an argument if you can't even define the term you're using that the argument rests upon. It is so circular. It is so stupid. It is, I don't know, it's as useful as tampons in a men's room.
They can be useful.
Yeah, for nosebleed.
For nosebleeds.
Yes.
They're great for nosebleeds, Tyrus. Close it out with some pithy wisdom.
First of all, this shouldn't have been more than 5 minutes. It should have been longer, the introductions. And as soon as they said to her, well, what is sex? And they didn't, it's okay to be uninformed. It's okay to be ignorant. But at least be, yes,
that's Mike's middle name.
But at least have some, like, at least make it entertaining for us who had to sit through this and watch this, because when the question was praised to the lawyer about what sex was, I immediately, because I know where they're going to try to change it, and I was waiting for them to argue, like, well, what position were you referring to? Like, they don't understand anything when it comes to, they had no business being there, and they should have all been, the verdict should have been simple. Everyone here who's arguing that boys should play in girls' sport and should seek help. Like, this is a simple thing. I've said it before on the show, and I'm just going to say it again. The difference between men and women is very simple. A man's biggest fear when it comes to a woman, since we're going to put everybody in a tent, is being embarrassed by her or her laughing at him. That's what a man fears from a woman. A woman fears a man killing her. That's why they don't play together.
Yeah.
She can hurt your feelings. You can physically destroy her. That's why. It's very simple. That's the reason why we stay on other sides, because men are physically stronger and more aggressive than women, no matter what you want to do about it. Now, there's always going to be an argument. There's always going to be, whatever.
Exceptions.
But the rule is, there's a reason why. Physically, it's not safe for women, period.
You know what's scariest about this whole thing?
What?
Kamala Harris would have been president for 4, maybe 8 years. Ketanji Brown Jackson is going to be on the Supreme Court for decades.
Well, maybe she doesn't know what decades means, and she thinks it's next year.
She has an odd way of talking, which I find, like, I got to figure out that and learn to mimic it.
It's to lull you into unconsciousness.
Yes, exactly.
Wake up and when did this law get passed?
Yes.
You were asleep.
Yeah, walking salmonette.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.